Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu earlier today was touting the efforts of the United States in making peace deals a reality. This comes just a day after Israel's government collapsed, sending the election-fatigued country to its fourth vote in under 2 years and bringing an unprecedented threat to Netanyahu's administration. Joining us for some insight live from Israel is David Rubin. He is the former mayor of Shiloh, Israel. He joins us from Shiloh. Good to see you, sir. Thank you for being here. Just shed some light on the situation for us here in the United States. This is essentially a breakdown of the coalition government, correct?
Yes, absolutely. The government has fallen, and there will be elections March 23rd. And this is the fourth election in the past 2 years. Now, up until this point, there has been a deadlock between the left and the right. The main right-of-center party, which is Netanyahu, Benjamin Netanyahu's Likud, and the left-of-center party, the main left-center party, which up until this point has been the blue and white party of Benny Gantz. Everything has changed with this fourth election in 2 years, and it's mainly a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, when people have not been happy at all with the government's handling of this pandemic.
We can relate here in the United States. There has been a lot of good news, Mayor, lately for Israel and for the region in general. Most recently, Israel and Morocco's peace agreement, the formal recognition there. That's the fourth agreement of its kind in recent time. Talk to us about what this progress has meant for the future of Israel and the future of the region.
Oh, well, it's tremendous. And most of the credit should go to President Trump and everything that he has done in forging a different peace process. You know, for about 40 years, we've been banging our land for peace heads against the wall that, you know, this little tiny country, Israel, with, you know, about the size of New Jersey, has to hand over all of its historical biblical places to its enemies. And somehow that's going to bring peace. Well, common sense says that that doesn't work, and Trump has changed with his out of the box approach. He has changed the whole paradigm here, and what he's doing, and has been doing, is saying, okay, the Palestinians, you know, with all of their terrorism and all of their obstinance, they are not going to have a veto power over peace. And all of these other countries in the Middle East want to make peace with Israel, and that's what we see happening. Morocco, Sudan, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and there are other countries waiting in line. My concern is that you know, if Biden becomes president, then it's going to destroy everything, because Biden doesn't have a clue, nor does Harris have a clue of how to conduct foreign policy, and certainly not in the Middle East.
Mayor, I was just going to bring up that point, actually, especially looking forward to this election in March. People in Israel looking more toward domestic priorities at the moment. But do you think that a likely Biden presidency could end up being a boost for Netanyahu and his party, since there are genuine concerns that the U.S. is going to just try again to appease Iran and certainly be less aggressive in continuing the Trump policy in the region?
Well, this is the situation. I'm going to try to explain it very quickly. Netanyahu is the main right-of-center party. There's been a break-off. There's now another right-of-center party that is competing for votes with Netanyahu. There is a third party further to the right, which is Naftali Bennett's Yamina party. And those three parties are the leading parties now. There are three right-of-center parties, including Netanyahu's Likud, which is still the leading party. And there's a strong possibility that there will be a very strong right-wing government in Israel at the end of the elections. Now, as far as keeping the process going, the peace process, a genuine peace process, and standing up to a potential Biden presidency, well, that's going to be done if there is a right-wing government. And it looks like that's the way we're going here in Israel.
So you think that that if you want to, if you're going to handicap it now, you think that the country, from a foreign policy standpoint, is going to continue to be very conservative?
Oh, absolutely. It's going to become more conservative. And, I explained in my book, Trump and the Jews, that President Trump has really set the ground for a new foreign policy in the Middle East, and he has carried it out to fruition to the best of his ability. Whether Biden would be able to undo that is a real question. But if Israel remains or if Israel now would have a right-of-center party controlling the coalition with two right-of-center parties supporting the coalition together, then you would see a very strong foreign policy coming from Israel. And Israel would be able to stand up to a Biden presidency if that's what indeed happens.
Well, we are going to be certainly following it here. Obviously, it's also a testament to Israel's democracy and the economic success of Israel that these other countries want to now form these economic alliances as well with the Jewish state. So, Mayor David Rubin of Shiloh, Israel, thank you very much for being with us. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.